there are some things I think that I can set us up with a little bit. Um, uh, I would like to push our time forward a little here in game. But before we get to anything like that, is there anything anybody needed to or wanted to do, like in the immediate aftermath of vanquishing the reborn Rue and the destruction of the Atropus?
My question to that is how, like, I know we're gonna do it, but how far ahead is the time scope?
I was gonna say like 6 months, right? Not something relatively small, but allows us to kind of like clean up some of the things happening in the world and set the stage for how things may progress, in the future,
Hmm.
as far as that goes. So not super long, relatively small as far as these things kind of go.
I can speak for myself on
Uh,
this one. I would know if that's the case. Aeolus is booking it downtown to Bahamut's palace because if you if he only got 6 months, that's his time frame. It takes like 2 months to get there.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, we can say yeah, because I think you yeah, it's you still have was it I think you have 5 months
Uh-huh.
now, is that it? Okay, all right. We'll say we jump forward 5 months. So like it doesn't have to be during this time jump that you have to go, but you can think about that, roll that idea in the noggin a little bit, if there's parts of it you want to try to flesh out. Yours was actually the hardest one to think about, Dawson, because I was telling my mom, this is our last session, and I was like, I don't know what to do about Dawson's character because his story is like the next campaign. So like,
Yeah,
can he
boy.
resolve anything, or is it left in the open? I think for your own sake, we can get some resolution out of that for sure. But yours definitely had the most like, what do you even do for this character? If giving some kind of farewell is the idea. um,
I had in the more immediate taking the time to properly logisticize and such, but Rainier would highly prioritize getting these moon elves to Finlanora, um, as like the very first order of business. Probably having to do trips to the uh, giants village and such, and actually prepare for like a trip and all, but like as quickly as possible in the next few months, try to get these people to their the connection to their roots.
yeah, that is part of what I was actually going to set up during this time jump here is as Brayley had indicated, and several of the Moon Elves show a great interest in coming down to the world that had they'd been looking upon for so long, as there's no real purpose for them up in the stars anymore. There's sadness to leave such a place, but their role is finished there. Um, and it does take time. The way the transporter had been set up is using the Ithilden and it's only moving six at a time. So it's slow goings, but can be done. As often as need be. There's no cooldown as far as that goes. So in this time frame, the moon elves that survive, they wake up the ones in stasis. They gather what things and artifacts and relics they deem worthy to bring back through the journey. Um, they don't have much as far as when they come down. Um, they are extremely they are extremely shocked by the cold where they are. That takes a little bit of getting used to as far as that goes. But there is a great effort is made once various people are communicated with. The folks in Skuro, now that the dragon has been vanquished, now that Igramar is gone, they happily begin sending transportation out that way. And there's a small stayover in the town of Skuro for the Moon Elves before they begin the larger trek downward. You find, in addition to that, the constructs led by General Orthos, those that survived the battle. Many of them head north to also assist in this, as these are two, essentially two parts of the same idea of protecting this world. They were very interested in meeting these moon elves and what their story and journey had been like, and of course to help provide protection to them as they progress southward. You find in this intervening time, roughly 40% of the contract army survives the assault, with 60% being destroyed by the undead. There is a large burial made in the battlefields where they fought. And those that remain eventually look to settle their own place for themselves, not looking to return to the far dread lookout, looking to stay closer to this new world they help protect here. Let me actually turn some music on. They established themselves initially in just a village, sort of in the central area where they can easily move around as needed, as many of them feel a desire to help protect this place. That idea still remains very strong within them. Many of them as well choose not to stay in this village that they create. They begin to travel, and it is not uncommon to see them while you're out and about in Maras, Bastion, along like any travels on the old road, and even beyond into the grand wilds. It is a welcome sight when any traveler sees one of these, as they know they are in good care and good company. But a request is made once the elves are settled in. And while the majority of them do wish to discover what ties to their past and future remain in Finlanora, many of them also wish to explore this new land. And again, a rarer sight, as they are less of them than many of the other peoples here. You also may occasionally run into a moon elf on your travels throughout Adari. But a request is made of Orthost on behalf of his people. He asks the fifth season to have the Ithildenora for the purpose of destroying it, so that his people may be free, truly free.
Seems reasonable. Unless anyone protests, then yeah.
Okay. It takes some time to discover how to destroy such an object.
Good news. Some of us are planning a trip to an angel to break something else. So
An angel to break something else, yeah. um, through study and research and pondering, though anybody that wishes to lend aid to this, um, various minds throughout the land that you trust are brought in, and a way is developed. And the Ithil Lenora, through great effort, is unmade. And with it, the construct army, the eternal army, is free from the bonds of their past and free to explore what the unknown future awaits for them. It takes time for the cities and villages to rebuild. There are great losses in every populace. The ones that got off with the least amount of damage is Karakara, though they've been through their own hardships. The walls of Bastion, damaged in the assault, begin reconstruction once more. Fields begin to be sown, crops begin to be harvested. People remember what has come to pass, and tales and stories of your efforts begin to come to light. And as you make your way around this land of Adari, your notoriety and fame follows you in many variety of ways. It is often that you find flowers and gifts and offerings made outside of where you live, where you rest, any place you lay your head that people know. Gratitude in some way is offered. For as long as you travel, as long as you live in Adari, your rooms are paid for in every inn, your drinks are bought. The people here take care of you in the way that you took care of them. Without the ever-present threat of the children of the Dark Sire, the coming of the Atropis, though evil itself is not vanquished from this universe and this world, this is a time of prosperity. New villages begin to pop up. The wild begins to get pushed back farther and farther, almost back to where the grand times were in the Age of Wonder, where the wild was almost on the verge of being tamed. But there still remains wonder, and there still remains realms unknown, untread, ancient ruins yet uncovered, undiscovered. Does anybody have an idea of where they think their character may be or where they think they may be going?
uh, like I said, or like I think Dawson mentioned earlier, if Laylis is headed that way, Rainier wants to go with and help, and also to get that book destroyed.
Along similar lines, Durham would certainly join whichever party members are going on to get that book destroyed. Um, would potentially help Laylis if Laylis's decision is to um, try and revoke this deal with Tiamat by seeking out the Paladins. If, on the other hand, Laylis's choice is either to buy into this deal or to deal with it by challenging Tiamat herself, I think Durham would look at it and say, well, like, if you're going to challenge Tiamat herself, then this is going to be resolved one way or the other. Like, you don't need me to be a part of it. Either she's going to win and then you won't have a deal with her, or you're going to win and you won't have a deal with her. So, okay, that, like, I mean, sounds like a bad idea, but it also is going to resolve itself. So that choice will depend a lot on what Laylis wants. I do think it's interesting that as a result of the association with the fifth season and what the fifth season has accomplished, um, they enjoy in the future the thanks of a grateful Adari by essentially being welcomed everywhere and everything sort of given to them gratis as a way to thank them for their extraordinary efforts. Most, if not all of which, would be lost on Durham um, because he would simply return back to the Three Sisters tribe. And um, with the exception of occasional visits uh, to his former party members and friends, all of which, by the way, occur almost entirely unannounced and suddenly because he can now transport himself via trees. Um,
Oh yeah.
yeah, but outside of that, like he doesn't really have any interaction with the rest of the world, so doesn't notice this. I will take this moment, however, to note that one individual who does take great advantage of this is one Kalawunax Clefthinthialar,
Yeah.
who I think has really taken to his charitable work so much so that it has become almost a religious calling, and he has risen
Oh my god.
to sort of lead religious figure of this new fledgling movement. Um, it's not a scam, um, but he is living quite well as a result of um, both his association with the fifth season and his natural proclivity.
Indeed, I think I think so.
I think Rainier's keeping an eye on that whenever he's through Bastion, with the good faith knowing that Cal isn't doing anything intentionally wrong, but if things get out of hand, he wants to be on standby.
Right. And I mean, I think anyone, and certainly Rainier, right, who Cal would welcome with open arms, would see that, oh, like, it, his organization is still functioning almost entirely, right, as a charitable organization and is still
Mhm.
doing many great works and donating much money to many different causes. It's just Cal is Cal, so he's put himself at the center of this thing and made himself very visible as the name and face, and and that combined with his association with the fifth season means um, he can live very comfortably with very little effort, and because he has zero shame, he takes advantage of every last opportunity to do so.
um
probably has also graduated to a platinum union card with the Sex Workers Guild.
One of your birthday gifts, I give you that Nuva bracelet.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah, the what was that, the is that the no sex disease or the no pregnant one?
It's the pregnancy one.
Yeah, no pregnancy. Yeah, hell yeah. um, I suppose I should ask the question then. Is there anybody that will not? I know Derm gave some caveats to it, but is there anybody that will not accompany? Um, God, I'm literally forgetting.
Layla.
Yeah, Layla. So I'm literally forgetting Layla's name. Is there anybody that's not accompanying Laylis over to the city of Ajaib?
Yeah, that'd be Zal.
Okay, what does the future have in store for Zal? How does Zal's story progress?
Zal is the greatest bard who ever lived. Zal has not only the greatest story, but also demonstrably more like magic and is also just physically way more distinct. Zal's got a lot of stuff going for him in the you're gonna know who he is category. I think Zal pretty much just spends the rest of his life like in constant motion from tavern to tavern. He likes playing in front of people, so I think probably by later on in his life he is like doing more outside shows because taverns are just too small. He's like, constantly going up to the Three Sisters tribe because I think at some point he starts to travel by himself to be like, oh, well, yeah, other people have musical traditions and histories and stuff. And I'm kind of bored with, I mean, I'm the master of this violin. I could play a lot of other things, but also like I've kind of beat this music. Um, so I'm gonna go, you know, pick up like go up to the north and figure I'd like talk to them and be like, "Oh yeah, what's your, storytelling tradition? What's your music like?" Go back over to the fucking lizard folk. Uh who will probably not be as receptive. But maybe try to see if Scritch's one is still alive. I think we sent him home, so maybe that's my in there. But yeah, I think Zal like ostensibly keeps his residence for Bastion, his permanent residence, that fucking shack that he just lets people sleep in down by the docks, and the mansion that we won in Maras. But I don't think he really uses either ever. Like I think the most a lot of people might see of him if you're not seeing him when he's out playing, at least in like our shared home, is him like stopping by to like drop off stuff, like gifts people have given him that aren't like gold or whatever. Like, oh yeah, look, I handcrafted you this thing. And he's like, "Oh, gee, okay." Just goes and drops it off in his quote unquote study in our mansion in Maras. But yeah, he just does like is just a bard for the rest of his life.
That's wonderful.
I think
Uh,
his broad and like much more specific, he gets the fifth season like as people they were already popular like archetypes, and now that they're like legendary, he is responsible for making it like, oh no, you eventually, right? Like we will talk about a Rainier Catterfeld as like synonymous with a hero archetype, right? Like a true like academic study of these things. Like, oh yes, well, yeah, we know of the Ragnarok, the savagery chained to, nobility kind of thing. And yeah, I think he just does that.
that's excellent. I think your travels is likely how the tale begins to spread, as um, initially not many people understand your role in things, but as the tale is told and spreads from place to place and is retold after your passing, the uh, the fame of the fifth season grows with it. Is there anybody else that will not accompany Laylis?
Um, I can say Firm most likely will not. He is probably going not even against his best judgment. He probably is going to enjoy this. He's going to try and see if he can get in with Kalaunax on the charity business and run the kitchen portion for like all the refugees, but at the same time see if he can become a business partner with Cal. So that way Cal only has to worry about like the front end part of it while he can worry about like the restaurant and making like extra ones in other cities, like a chain thing.
Oh,
Because at the end of the day, he's still a pirate.
you you want to stay in the kitchen and in the back? Oh, wonderful. That's great.
Oh, okay. We do need to discuss my cut in pays occasionally.
Sure, whatever. Bye.
Mhm.
Sounds like he's asking for a pay cut, Cal. How wonderful.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you're the business manager, right? That's what you've just asked to become.
Business manager?
You're running the
I don't.
kitchen and the business type things. Wonderful. Write yourself a check every month. Bye.
Oh, okay. I feel like this is a worse deal to have.
Having bitten off maybe more than Furman can chew, you take on a greater responsibility within the organization. um, from through your efforts through everything here as well, the Arcanium grants you an honorary title in their order. They grant you the title of Magus.
Ooh.
Um, and should you ever wish to peruse the library, you need only but ask, and you're always welcome on their grounds.
Ooh. Nice. They're probably gonna regret that down the line, but nice.
Anyone else that may choose to have their adventure not continue forward with Laylis? Okay. um, difficult to adjudicate how an entire adventure would go. um, I think honestly, the best way to do it is to roll D100s, and before
Oh,
you
good.
roll, we'll see what the bad outcomes and rolls are going to be. There is inherent risk in doing this, both in seeking out some kind of solution for Laylis's situation, as well as dealing with getting rid of the evil book you all carry in your possession, as it draws evil to you just by having it around. um, I think that on a D100, I think a roll of 10 and below leaves you with a great injury from your adventure. That could be like a loss of limb or a maiming of some kind, something that is significant to the effort put in. On a roll of 5 and below, I don't believe your character makes it through to the
Oh,
end of the adventure. Does this sound reasonable? Does that sound too much?
no, that sounds reasonable to me.
That sounds fair. Are you saying that those are the two bad possibilities, and and an 11 or higher on a D100 from any of us means success without
Uh,
harm or less harm?
means
Okay.
your character goes through the adventure without any kind of harm to them. I mean, you have your trials and tribulations as you would if you were to go on it, but
Mhm.
how to boil an adventure down to one roll, I don't know. This seems like the most simplest way to do it.
I'm okay with that.
If I can ask, because not that one roll is bad, but if there's like 4 or 5 of us going, can we have 5 rolls, one for
Yeah,
each
everybody
person?
roll. Oh no, everybody rolls once,
Yeah, yeah,
but
like one for
everybody
each.
does roll. Yeah, yeah. It's not one
Okay.
person rolls 11 and the you win. We want to see the outcome of everybody that goes along with on the journey.
Right. Our personal experiences.
Yeah, exactly. It's your personal
Gotcha.
experience on the adventure.
Would you like us to roll now?
Yeah, go ahead and roll because that'll kind of sculpt the story that comes out of it.
Scary. Oh my. Okay.
Adam, damn.
God, Adam,
I don't
he
want to roll this
solidified
because
his
we all know what's
victory.
coming.
Oh. Okay.
Okay, never mind.
Okay.
You usually do way better with D100s.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't get what I wanted.
Running it maimed.
Yeah, actually, I thought it was gonna be so much more fitting.
Okay. Okay. You all survive to tell the tale of this adventure. Boy, do I have.
Uh, Before you kick off the description, do
Yeah.
you mind if I like explain what Laylis was planning?
Yeah, actually, yes, that is, that is, the big crux is what is Laylis's plan? Like, what is his desire going, into this? Does he wish to strengthen the bond with Tiamat, or does he actually wish to find a way, um, out of it?
So, Laylis's plan, after much consideration, he realizes like he's always been making bad decisions on this, like trying to avoid it. His first objective is he's trying to get to what'd you call it, Al Jaib?
Yes, Ajaib, City of Wonders.
He is trying to get there, and he's going to, within the time frame, make the deal that he become a avatar of Bahamut instead. He understands that it's going to come with like risk and like a lot of like turmoil. But his caveat to becoming the avatar to Bahamut is he wants to figure out what started the initiation of a Korvarox and how to cut it completely to where there won't
Hmm,
be another one down the line.
that is quite interesting.
Trying to Avatar Korra this.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, basically.
Yeah, that is quite interesting.
I didn't think of that reference when I was thinking of this. I just thought it'd be like a better solution than trying to just outright fight Tiamat or Bahamut, but to just take out
Yeah,
the whole like circumstance of it all.
it is easier than fighting a god, probably. Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
And if it's not, you'll be dead anyway.
Exactly.
yeah.
So since I didn't get the 10 or 10, the 5 to 10, I'll go ahead and tell you my initial like what I was hoping to get was like a 7. So that way, with the sacrifice that had to come from this, was that Laylis is no longer a Drake Warden. That whole thing comes with the like the ability of a Korvarox kind of aspect, and that his payout for doing this is he no longer gets to have Basar.
Hmm.
But I didn't get a
Okay.
7 or a low. So
Yeah. Okay. Um, quite an ask from cosmic deities. Quite an ask indeed. Um, okay. I'll show you all, because because there wasn't an idea, like we didn't there was never a known of whether or not we would ever travel in this direction. I will show you guys. This is
Oh,
like the entirety of the world map.
what?
And I had only gotten down to here, and there's ideas of what is in the desert realm. But you get to see where Ajaib, is located. Um, and as the paladins of Bahamut were coming, I essentially had to measure this and like count. Like, okay, cool. It takes this many days for them to arrive, and then this many days to get to Bastion to eventually like make contact with you all and all that kind of stuff. So there was there was a real basis to a lot of it, and of course another way to go should anybody at one point wish to head south through the Barrens was through the very deadly canyon down into the southern lands as well, and somewhere in the desert lies the lost temple that the snake folk are keeping that Solar hidden in, as well as a dragon. I believe it is a blue dragon. Is in the desert as well, but never a need to flush kind of any of that kind of stuff out there for it. There's also Karakara still exists because this map doesn't have the destruction on it as far as that goes. Okay. Upon your contact with the Paladins of Bahamut, and seeing that in earnest you do wish to prevent Tiamat's coming, what you're tasked with is you are bonded to a deity through word and deed. And this becomes visible within the Temple of Bahamut as you all actually see like ethereal chains that bind to Layless that just stretch out and then disappear as they go into another realm. This chain, although you can see it in this place, you're unable to affect it with anything you currently wield. The only way to break a chain like this is you need the proper tool. And Ember Prime, you know more than anyone that there's one place that can make anything you need, any tool you desire. And so a journey begins to find a way to enter Moradin's realm.
Ooh.
You find yourself getting a hold of a piece of very old, very ancient magic. A gate scroll. Now, normally, this would not work in the presence of a deity on their realm, but you find as you key it to Moradin, you're able to walk through. As you are one of his chosen, one of his believers. You pledge your case to the Grand Creator himself. Ember Prime, can you make a smithing check for me? You can use your wisdom score and whatever bonuses your smith's tools through the use of that hammer provide you.
I
believe it's advantage. No, +2. All Smith Tools checks. Smith Tools. Situational 2. Oh boy. Oh boy. Nailed it.
Holy, holy cow! The nat 20. Oh my god. Ah,
Thank God.
in Warden's name, we are blessed.
Oh
You
my god, I can't slack off. This got to be the best thing I've ever done.
you work the anvil of Moradin and fashion a hammer with a sliver of filament he provides to you. This hammer um, will upgrade. Essentially, this is like a replacement upgrade of what you are currently using to increase it to a +3 version of it. And with this hammer blessed by a deity, containing a fragment of the divine, uh, you are able to strike this chain and shatter the links of it, severing the connection between Tiamat and Leyless. Leyless, there is a reaction to Basar in this time. You see, as he roars and electricity shoots out, fire is breathed. Elementals of all kinds shoot forth from his head, a kaleidoscope of power and color. A bright light fills and envelops him. And as this light fades, you see where the three-headed Basar once stood, you see a singular-headed wyvern. Platinum scales, a long, sharp horn at the top of his snout, billowing wings that stretch. He gains the size required for you to ride him and fly upon him, whether you have that level or not. And eventually, after you return to Ajaim to alert the paladins that of what has come to pass and the change that has come, you find yourself once more catching the eye of a simple, old-looking man. Seems to be watching children play in the streets, and you and him share a small conversation. And this form that you have seen and spoken to before explains to you that the Corva Rocks exists as long as he and Tiamat exist. They are as eternal as the universe is itself. And this is a natural cycle of things. And when you pass, at some point in the future, another will be born. And they too will have to pass their own trial. They too will have to weather the temptation of Tiamat. And Bahamut explains that Well, she offers power she offers power in exchange for the bond, exchange for the servitude. His is not that way. His is a choice, and it's your choice. The trial is simply, what do you do? You are protected from Tiamat and her followers for the rest of your days. They are unable to easily find you, though they do hunt you in vengeance to their queen. But they are easily dispatched through you and your great companion. And when your time comes to pass, you are offered a choice in the afterlife. You are welcome in Bahamut's world, or may ye choose one of your own heritage. But either way, the rest of your days here are spent aloft in the skies and the clouds, traveling as you see fit. You do enjoy the long life of an elf, as for the book you carry, you find you find in the city of Ajaib there are serpent folk. Not all are irredeemable, but those that dwell in the desert are. Some escape the world they've left behind to seek something different. You find one such in the streets, blinded for her betrayal. But she reads the cards of fate to you and tells you a story of a temple deep in the heart of the desert, lost to time, lost to the sands, lost to the changing of the seasons in the world. Through your various means and efforts, travel is not so difficult these days, but an arduous journey nonetheless. Moving from desert oasis to desert oasis. You find villages in the desert, assaulted by the slavers of the deep sands. Freeing their people, they lead you ever deeper inward, till eventually you find the temple you seek. A grand battle is had. Snake monstrosities the like you have never seen before. A great serpent, 60 foot long, joins the fray. But all in turn are vanquished. And you find yourselves deep in the subterranean chambers beneath the temple, until you find one such opening that leads to a large statue with 3 gorgon heads pointed at it, keeping it in a perpetual state of being turned to stone, and as its natural resilience fights against it. With the destruction of these gorgon heads, the solar is freed. Trapped in its prison, finally free after aeons and aeons. As thanks for releasing it from its prison, you present the Book of Evil to it. And as it begins to tear, a scream fills the air, wind whips, a great darkness fills the space, but the glory and the light that is bestowed to this being shines bright. And the book is torn asunder, its pages unmade. And what dark knowledge rested within them is gone from this place. Is there anything anybody would like to do as part of this desert adventure or say they accomplished?
I don't know how. I'm very curious as to where this solar came from and like what its purpose was here, and sort of pursuing some of the nature of celestials and their places on the plane. I know that sounds wild, but academically trying to understand that a little bit better, given that
Yeah.
they're here and they are apparently partially falsified.
Yeah. You find they explain that um, these serpent beings um, weren't always like this, but over time their greed and avarice began to twist them, and they began seeking strength and power in darker and darker pathways that eventually twisted them into what they have become. He had been sent down, or they, I suppose, had been sent down to eradicate a particularly troublesome group of them that through ritual and sacrifice had wronged the deity this Solar serves, and in so doing brought the wrath of that god, and sent this Solar to erase them from the desert and allow the sands to swallow the place whole. But they did not expect that the serpent folk had made alliances with Gorgons, and even a Solar can have hubris. And as they were caught off guard and surprised, they became imprisoned. And they've been here for thousands of years this way. The deity they serve, you know well, as they recognize the light within you.
Um, I think, given that this creature has not been permitted to leave the plane in so long, um, letting it know that it can leave is imperative. But wanting to know if this creature knows is old enough to recall the gods before they were gods.
They explain that although to them, they are not. They are eternal, but they are not immortal. The Solar can be killed, though these serpents deemed it more cruel to keep it imprisoned that way, because they were awake the entire time, trapped, only having their own thoughts, and whoever came down to view them or jeer at them as company. They have been in service to the God of Light for a long time. As far as they know, their perspective on it is, they have always been.
Did it know of the Vol, or is that before its knowledge of this plane?
Before its knowledge of the plane.
Interesting.
Though it seems to have like the vague idea of them, but it explains this world has seen many races come and go, many mountains rise and fall, seas washing and drying. It is hard to keep track of so many things. And theirs is not to study such. They are a defender. And before they leave to return to their duty where they have been so absent, they provide you with a gift. They inscribe, using their finger, a new set of runes along your crossbow. And it gains, I believe it is it's just a normal crossbow with abilities, or is a +1 currently?
I believe it is a +1.
Okay. If it is not a +1, it becomes 1. If it is a +1, it's +2. And the roll that you make to see if your battle angel becomes 19 to 20 instead of just 20.
Mhm. I think I would report before it leaves the scarcity of Lathander's light on the plane, like specifically that, those who bear his blood are dwindling, and not with any intention of requesting that more be sacrificed, but just so that that it is being recorded that this is dying.
uh, they look upon you and say, all things come to an end eventually. But his light shines upon this world. You need only look up and feel his grace upon you. The grand wings extend, and with a singular flap, there's just a streak of golden brilliance soaring into the sky. um, Leyless, you do make friends with the blue dragon in the desert.
Ooh.
Let me get. You find that they often enjoy taking the form of humans and love to converse and enjoy the company and are very curious about the bond that you have with your dragon companion. This dragon, they have a simple name. They call themselves Krasis. Anything else anybody would like to add to the adventure in the desert? I also just want to note, Ted, you are muted in case you're trying to speak.
Nope, no.
Okay. Just
I
just
didn't think
wanted.
you wanted to hear me coughing and burping. So
Hey, no problem, man. No problem. Just checking, you know what I mean. Just checking, brother. Excellent, wonderful. uh, you find your way back home. Would you just a question? Would you guys have traveled by land, or would you have traveled by boat to Ajaib?
I feel like Layla's would have went by land.
Whatever would have been faster if we did the math.
Boat would be faster.
Oh.
Certainly, also the boats would know where to go. Going through the land is certainly an option, but you would find yourselves in the desert, in an unfamiliar territory, and perhaps not with so many resources to feed yourselves without your other companions around. So if the answer is faster, then boat would certainly be the way to go.
What work?
Cool. You find yourselves on your return journey, assaulted around Settler's Wreck by an extremely large kraken referred to as the Brine King, who has destroyed many a boat in this area. You do great battle with this hulking monstrosity of tentacles and beak before it too is vanquished. Upon your return back to Adari proper, it is up to you all how you'd like to give a capstone or farewell to your character or set them off on their future travels and adventures.
Uh, it's brief because Rainier goes back to work pretty quick. But I think makes a point to try to make it to to find people or try to hit places he's known they've been at least like once a year as he goes, as far north as he can tolerate and as far south as he can tolerate, and it just keeps going back and forth. Uh, Pretty much until Lathander says the body's no longer willing and lets him fall to the dirt.
It's not too long, maybe a year or two after all these events. You begin to hear whispers of darkness brewing. There's something growing and strength in an old haunt, the place where for you it all started. You find yourself treading that familiar battlefield from long ago at this point. And your tracking leads you to the abandoned tomb. As you venture downward, destroying any burgeoning dead. For although those that were alive at the or undead at the time were vanquished, evil itself still exists and grows and is persistent. It, like a mold, clings and finds the deep, dank places in which to grow once more. And as you dispatch your way through, you find what's been causing the malady in this area again. You find a malformed Olbrecht whose attempt to become Lich was not successful. And they are caught between things. They are monstrous. They are made and unmade. They are mostly a quivering pile of flesh and bone. You recognize the mask and the eyes filled with hatred beyond it. There's no words, it simply gurgles at you.
Barely looking at it, kind of handling it with the same distaste and honestly solemnity that he ever really saw or felt with Rue. Um, doesn't feel compelled to say anything and has no compassion to give and fries the mass of this until there is no trace of flesh to remain.
Another evil rid from the world. You find as you travel around and times that you're within Bastion and are within Lathander's temple, your station is certainly elevated among them. The paladins fought bravely on the front lines defending the city against the undead, and they lost many in this battle. And when it comes to light, everything that you've done, as you walk the halls, you find those armor-clad warriors stop. They offer a warrior salute to you, a bow of the head. And though there are no ways to make more of you, you are revered. And the old ways aren't looked down upon so. You find those that had such ideas, their station being lessened in time. When your time eventually does come to pass, how old do you think Rainier is?
I'm thinking, I think it would depend on, the bigger, scarier things, but given that we survive a kraken, there's not many land things I can encounter worse than that. So realistically, probably 150, maybe 60, because he has god blood within him and he's designed to live forever as a result. But his human body will fall apart.
Yeah. Would you? The Temple of Lathander would honor you within their walls. Would Rainier want that, or would he want something different?
I think he would rather nobody knows that he is dead.
Mm,
Eh,
okay.
yeah. And I don't and it would be obvious like to our friends who have longer lives than him and who make contact that eventually he would um uh stop answering, but I don't think he wouldn't be stupid enough to not tell Ember Prime that he was
Mm,
feeling old as fuck and wasn't sure when he was gonna maybe be able to swing by again.
I like that. One last journey on the old road. Perhaps finding a pleasant tree to sit under. Someplace nice and quiet.
See, that's a problem if you want nice and quiet. Because if you tell Ember Prime, hey, I think this is going to be my last journey, she's got like 4.5 centuries left to live. If you think you're taking that journey on your own, not a chance. And you don't really get a say. Like, she's just going to follow you. What are you
It's
going to do?
it's honestly the reason like, between knowing that it would ruin her to not say anything and knowing that saying something to her would mean that she would actually, come along and be herself the entire time is exactly what he would want.
I think that's a very nice idea of uh, Ember being there at the end of things.
I think it works excellently too because it means that, like, of all people, he would want her to make the decision about where the crossbow goes next because she's the one who made the point that we get to have new heroes. But on the other hand, it is a holy fucking relic. So if she wants to, like, pawn it or have it forever or whatever, I want her to I want her to have it to do with whatever she wants with.
What is my dexterity again? 10, I think.
Hey, it is a +2, right? So
It's a
yeah.
pretty
You
good
got
crossbow.
you got 500 years to get that dexterity up.
I was gonna say, if you got eyes, you can use it. I promise.
Actually, I don't think I can. Because I'm pretty sure it's a heavy crossbow.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Oh, you don't have
no,
martial weapons, huh?
I sure don't.
Oh my god.
I don't think she would feel right using it in the first place. Like, she
Sure.
might try like once. Be like, how hard can this be? Twang! Oh, real fucking hard. Okay. Lesson learned. She probably does that before Rainier is even gone. Like,
Yeah.
the moment it is handed to her.
He dies with a crossbow bolt in his chest.
But I think it would almost certainly go back to not go back to the church, but it would go to someone who is sort of an up and coming hero in that organization.
Mhm.
Does she recognizes that this is a thing that brought Idari hope, and it can continue to do that. Um, Past Rainier and almost certainly past herself. So
Hmm.
she might try to tinker with it a little bit, spruce it up a little bit because she got a couple centuries. So
Eventually, Another hero rises to the occasion of the world calling for need, and should they prove worthy, perhaps they may wield such a relic. Um, do we have an idea of what lies in store for Ember Prime?
She struggles to stay in one place at this point. She spent uh, most of her life prior to adventuring in Maras doing, studying, essentially. Studying how to smith, studying her family's business. Now that she has had a chance to see not just this world, but the moon of this world and see the impact that a small group of people can make, uh, the concept of retiring to settle down somewhere is completely a non-starter. I mean, she has traveled the length of she's gone all the way up to the north. She will by this time have gone down into the south to Ajaib. She has traveled into the realm of her god and gotten to show her adopted family her deity, which is probably the high that she chases for the rest of her life. Because how do you get cooler than that? You don't. But she certainly knows that there is plenty to see, and there are, I'm sure, plans that are drawn up for an expedition to Kirathun or back up into the north, since there is a temple up there. And I'm sure that those expeditions happen out of Maras, and she might start them, but it is unlikely that once it turns from clearing an adventure to the business of settling, that she stays there with them. She might stay to help set up, but she doesn't settle in any of them. I think that there is, in fact, a large amount of traveling to see to see everyone where they have separated, and traveling with each person for a time, whether it is going with Zal to tell, just to see his stories, certainly spending some time not far from where she is with Durham. Uh, I I think the wanderlust just sort of holds on to her for a while, and she almost certainly spends a considerable amount of time once her friends are largely gone, um, looking for that next group, looking for that next group of adventurers who will be there to help Adari. And even if she doesn't join them directly, just sort of supporting them from afar.
I think that's absolutely wonderful. I like the idea of Ember being a steward of things, looking after things as time moves on. Does Ember an offer is made for Ember if she wishes to join the Praetors of Maras? Do you think she would take up that honor?
I think she would. Not. She would have the desire for a while, having defended Adari, to be home. I think there is a certain amount of draw in being home for her for a little while, and um, it is certainly something that would not last for the rest of her life. But especially immediately in the immediate aftermath of the death of the Atropal, and then after Leyles's situation is resolved and the book is destroyed, without any immediate adventure threads, she, I think, would certainly want to go home for a bit and see her family and swing by Bastion and see Cal and Merv and everyone, and getting to study the preeminent defense of Maras in the Praetors, I think, is certainly something she would be interested in. She asked about it before and was told, yeah, the only way you can see that armor is to become a Praetor. And I think she would for a time, but much like her father, she would end up finding a reason to, air quotes, retire from the Praetors.
Is there anything else anybody would like to add to any of their stories? Did we? I'm actually. Did we get any word on what Merv is doing?
Merv went missing.
Okay.
Probably like 3 years after everything. Merv went MIA. There's some accounts of like it's one of those things where as more marsh skims like flood out of the bog in the subsequent decades, they all have different accounts of what they think. Like the first couple marsh skims come out, it's like, well, no, he went in there and he killed that dragon. Then there's some that are like, well, no, he just blew himself up or he fell in a hole. Like there's all the standard ones, but I think like yeah, there's never really what happened. He just he just went missing. I think for sure though, the world is lousier with or I should say just lousy with marsh skims, as like the second he goes back and relays to them even vaguely what's going on and like the things he's seen, there is just a lot of deranged little halflings like wandering around, like employing, artificing uh, on themselves mostly, but on people like yeah. Like Merv becomes like the like, oh yeah, the apocryphal, fill-in story. It's like, yeah, you want to go out like Merv, fall, falling in a hole. Fall in a hole, don't know anything happened, just gone. Killing a dragon. Yep.
Um, I would like to do this though, for you, Cody. You and I talked a little bit about um, Merv being around in Karakara, being affected by
Yep.
what the monolith is doing there. Do you want to roll to see what mutations Merv comes out with?
Sure, why not? Give me like 5 of them.
We'll
Fuck this
do
halfling
this.
up.
This is for a beneficial mutation. Just roll a d100. 66. You gain fire resistance.
Sure.
Okay.
That's useful to you.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's just a consequence of your actions. That's not actually
Yeah.
magic.
Mhm.
Yeah. This will be for a harmful mutation. Another d100. 79. Okay. Weakness and strength. Disadvantage on all strength checks and attack rolls that use strength.
That checks out. I was
Yeah.
already awful at those.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
that one's I barely at that point I'm not even walking anymore. I just let the cloak walk for me. I'm just laying half the time. I'm just sitting cross-legged, letting the thing fucking
Yeah.
scoop me along.
You're full Doc Ock in it.
Yeah, I just am
Yeah,
like, well,
maybe.
fuck walking. I get tired. I got these
Yeah,
good boots.
maybe it's because you're not walking anymore. You actually start to atrophy. You're a little bit.
So far, all
Okay,
of
this will
these
be.
could happen to Merv.
This will be a powerful mutation. It's another D100. A 16. Chameleon skin. Your
Yep.
skin changes colors as you wish. You gain proficiency in stealth.
God, now he's
Okay.
fucking invisible all the time.
Yeah, it's at this
Yeah.
point then I go back to the bog. I go back to Karakara after going to the bog, but it's so good to just show up to the bog being able to do that and then just fuck off one day so that they never know what happened to me. Like, yeah, Merv walked out and he walked out the front door and then he was fucking gone. And nobody could fucking find him.
Okay,
God.
the last one is distinctive mutation. That's another D100. 78. Snake
These are
tail.
funky dice.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh my
You
god.
you have a prehensile tail
Oh, that's
that
excellent.
is it
Prehensile?
says 6 feet long,
Right.
which is
Jesus.
Correct.
way longer than you.
Yeah.
You
This is
gain
good.
advantage on grappling and wrestling. The
Okay,
tail
well,
can
that'll
grasp.
cancel out some of the this is probably why the strength got
You
worse.
can't use your arms or legs, but your tail is
Yeah.
phenomenal.
I've got a tail
Uh-huh.
that's about 3 times the size of me, so I just sort of loop it around my waist most of the day like a fucking belt.
The tail can grasp large objects such as a barrel or pillar. And
Nice.
you get to roll again on the beneficial
Oh,
mutation table.
So just so I'm clear, you've got this thing wrapped around your
Yeah.
waist like a belt. So every time you uncurl it to
Yeah.
use something, your pants fall to your ankles.
Yep.
Excellent.
Except like
That's
I'm
yeah.
always sitting, so it's fine.
You have resistance to cold damage.
That's
My
good.
God.
Jesus.
I need to roll on a one that will really fuck me up.
The tail wasn't enough for you.
I need to yeah, no, the tail is good for him. I need to know what fucking kills this little mutant.
Oh man. I mean, the
Fucking
harmful mutation is the strength one, but that actually
yeah, that's
got
nothing.
that's
That
it's actually okay for
yeah.
Merv. If you
Merv
want to
already
roll again on the harmful, you are welcome to.
Oh
One.
yes!
Whoa.
Yes!
Oh no.
Yes!
Okay. This I
was
gotta tell you,
necessary.
this fits on the entire theme that's been developed. Deformed leg.
Yes!
Your
Just
speed on
one.
your speed on foot is reduced by
That's right.
5 feet. You have to succeed on a DC 10 deck save after dashing.
Uh-huh.
If you fail to save, you just fall prone.
Here's the good thing. Just never go up from prone. Stay prone.
stay prone. Let the
Stay
cape.
prone.
The cape takes me where it will.
I walk with the cape.
Uh,
All of that happens in like 3 years. Like this is not a long process. Merv does pretty well, but like
oh my
again, I don't
God.
know at what point Merv goes MIA, but like I think probably one of you saw him as a cryptid at least once, and then like
Me,
that's the
for
last you
sure.
saw. The last you saw is him just fucking walking the road like back from the bog.
We
Oh.
saw each other. The light flashed over your goggles. I immediately knew who you were and turned around.
What you actually see is like fucking Chorby commanding an army
my
of tiny
God.
servants.
I
It's
forgot.
from the fucking
Jesus.
spell fueling. The spell storing ring has tiny servant in it, and so Chorby's just constantly producing fucking tiny servants and like directing them for Merv's day-to-day activity. Chorby's
Oh
gonna
my
become my
God.
major domo.
Oh my
They're fucking setting up camps. They're like making a small village.
The last thing I wanted to find out about Merv is I wanted to have him roll on the Iron Flesh list to
Oh.
see what grand relic he pulls out from his time in Karakara. It's 1 through 26, so if you can roll a 1d26. 15. Okay. To go find this. Okay. Okay. How do I show this? Can I copy this in? That's nothing.
Nope.
That's nothing. Okay, I'll just copy the description of it in. Okay, you
Oh,
come
God.
out with the spine of gravity.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah. Oh, this is
Uh,
beautiful. Who needs legs at this point?
Yeah,
What
it
is even
will.
You're becoming a worm.
Yeah, your spine is taken out and
Yeah.
replaced with this.
Chorby does the surgery, to be clear. I've got
With all of
Chorby
his
and
little
like
friends in an
I-
amphitheater.
yeah, I've got Chorby and 10 fucking tiny servants doing surgery on me. The second I go down, Chorby is hitting me with a cure wound, throwing potions down my mouth. I taught
God.
Chorby surgery. He learned.
He learned.
It's fine. We practiced on like a bird first, and then we were good to go.
This does remind me, Rainier throws that fucking crown into the ocean. That one that lets you
That's right.
that thing, yeah.
That's good. You never let him know.
Yeah, Merv
'Cause,
Merv doesn't get that one. That was going in the
yeah, I
drink.
just had Chorby rip my spine out and
Yeah,
put a new one in.
yeah.
It's
Also, I've
fine
got
though.
receipts. I had this call like
we-
yesterday.
We diagrammed the whole thing beforehand though. I made sure he can't speak, but he can point yes or no on and point to pictures. So we made sure he was clear on the diagram for how this is gonna work. He's got hands. It's fine, and I got him lots of assistance. He only needs 1 cure wounds anyway. Just seal that shit up. Hit him with a cure wound so he's not dying anymore.
All good, boss.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
A nightmare.
Yeah, truly.
He's
Truly indeed.
become a cryptid, and again, I think this only just makes the Marsh Skim legends about him more feral. He shows back up with a fucking tail. He shows back up with some shit. The first thing he does is like be like, check out my fucking spine. Look at that.
Ew.
Look at that.
Check it out. It definitely glows. It definitely
Yeah.
glows for sure.
right.
There's lights and things in there. Absolutely.
What does it do?
Gravity.
It can give you gravity. Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, like you can fly, and then it has like telekinesis abilities.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I
it's-
might have to shoot you. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
you're full on Doc Ocking it.
Yeah, I have foregone the need for legs.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
has embraced the singularity.
Yeah. The last Rainier sees of him, he's wearing only one boot. He's got another boot.
Don't you need this boot? Nah, not anymore.
No, he's past boots now.
He is wearing 2 boots, but only one's on a foot, the other one's on a hand.
Actually, probably the only one with confirmation that Merv was dead who would know what to look for would be fucking Ember Prime would know them like 3 days after Merv died because the bear would stop roaring out front of the blacksmith. The bear would stop making a fucking roaring noise, and that would be the moment Ember's like, oh shit, Merv died. Oh, god damn it.
Given that Ember Prime picked up Artificer Initiate as a feat recently, I imagine the times that Merv and Ember Prime get together are horrific.
Feral.
Just like, yeah, just some of the wildest crap that two people with like zero concept of like consequence
Yeah.
can really get up to.
Merv was invincible until he wasn't. And we'll never know when that was. What did it?
Um, anything else anybody would like to add to their story?
Oh, probably that every time I hit the Three Sisters tribe, I bring Durham a different bag of tea and a new bottle of whiskey.
Durham is certainly appreciative of that.
I think that was I'm pretty sure that was things we did while we were hanging out at my house.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, very
Um,
cool.
Dawson, you still with us?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know we got through what happened to Leyless, but how do you think like his story like finally comes to a close?
For the majority of it, after that, after he gets Basar back and the trade off from Tiamat to Bahamut, he understands what they represent, but he knows what he wants his goal to be. So he's going around looking for all the dragons of Tiamat that are here. So like the one that I think is in the Mistmire, I believe,
Yeah.
and like wherever other ones may be, since the ice one was supposedly one of her children, he'd assume there'd be five. And each time he goes to them, if he wins, so forth, he's leaving a mark basically of like how many heads Tiamat had, and he's marking a line through each one
Oh my
as he goes
god.
to the dragons.
That's pretty good.
Hey, if
That
you're
is
headed to
pretty
Mistmire, I'll
good.
come with you.
we might find the Merv.
Yeah.
You'll hear about the Merv.
That too.
You might find the Merv. Yeah. Look, you find as you do battle against these dragons, and there certainly are more out there. um, having fought Igramar, having fought, I mean, you fought Rue Reborn, which is a dragon.
Hmm.
You do battle with Narenth the Bog Tyrant,
Oh,
who's poisoned the Mistmire Bog in the center of it for centuries. Um, after after the battles that you've had at this point, though it is a difficult fight, it is
yeah.
you are able to take down Narenth, the
I
Bog
want to
Tyrant.
thank you for confirming to all of Merv's relatives that Merv killed the bog dragon. Yeah, because it doesn't matter what you tell them. If you happen to run into them, they're now pretty sure Merv killed the bog tyrant.
Laylos is fine with that.
Fucking marsh skim put it in the dirt.
um, should you wish, Laylis, the Hunters Guild, there is a $10,000 gold bounty for Narenth the Bog Tyrant.
Yeah.
It's been standing, and no one's ever been able to collect it. So, should you wish to take it, it is yours.
Yeah, he'll do that.
Congratulations. All of Merv's people are now hunting you for stealing his bounty.
I am
um,
not saying that. I am saying your name is a dirty word amongst the fucking marsh skim.
I'll say, given that you're dragon hunting, you do discover as you need to like find where these dragons are,
Mhm.
that your journey does bring you back to the Shadow Fire, where the Dragonborn are. Um, And
Time to take that trial.
I was gonna say, I think Ember Prime is definitely showing up to get inside the mountain there. You find as you both embark on the trial that to prove yourself worthy to the mountain, that deep in the heart of the mountain, what is causing it to burn eternally, is there is a dragon deep within the center of it, but this is not a normal dragon. Housed within, this is a being from the plane of fire itself. And while normally a red dragon would be a vicious thing to behold, this entity is more elemental in nature, and even they typically are angry at everything and wish to take the elements that the world has stolen from them. This particular draconic elemental entity has found itself a home here. And you discover that in its crossing from the fire plane to here, uh, from it, it has changed and given some origin to these dragonborn in this area. It's not that they are the origin of all dragonborn as their tales tell it. It's that the dragonborn that settled here so long ago just became changed and eventually just started being born as red dragons, just due to its presence here. And over time, the mountain began to burn. And it's been so long that this is just how things are. That is the history now of things. I think, given your various talents and certain levels that you have, your trial to prove yourselves worthy to this being is a success. So while you don't find a foe you need to defeat, you do find a foe that you need to prove your strength to. At the end of it, emerging out of the trial, of course, the tribe of the Shadow Fire, you are earned their respect. You are hallowed by name by all who live here. Grand celebrations and fights and festivals are had for you. The grand treasure that is bestowed upon success of this trial, it is a very unique weapon. This is. I really wish I could show this, but I can't show it to you guys. And that wait, maybe? No. I can show the artwork for it. And I will put the description of it in the chat here.
If our Ragnarok was not a hand-to-hand fighter, that would feel so fitting. While Ember Prime has the like the hammer of like the giants, I believe.
Yeah, I know. This is the Plasmax of Carnage. It is it's just the haft and the central section, but when activated on either side, the beams are plasma energy that comes out of it. This is most certainly an object of ancient arcana that has been held by the fire elemental. It's a as you can see, it's a standard +1 weapon, but every time you hit, it gains charges, and as the charges build, it gains additional damage, additional bonuses to hit until you if you hit 25 times in a row, every hit becomes a critical, and if you make it to 30 times in a row without missing, then you are able to just start breathing cones of fire doing 30d6 damage.
I'm be honest,
But
hold on real quick.
should you miss, it loses half the charges going down. And if you don't use it in battle for more than 7 days, all charges are lost.
Yup. I just had to see the average number on that, and that's all a lot of rolls. Sorry, continue on.
Yeah, it's a pretty nasty thing. um, it would have been very cool if anybody was a barbarian using an axe. It would have been very, very cool. This was an item I made in the last campaign for an axe wielding draconic barbarian, though they never made it to the trial themselves, which is unfortunate.
Oh.
I think if there's nothing else, I think that brings the story of the 5th season to a close, and this age of Adari, once the last of you have finally passed onward, and a new age begins, and a new time of heroes starts.